given on National BIM E-Submission is because, other than the official launch that we witnessed earlier on this morning, this is expected to be a game changer. It's not just an upgrade, and it's a digital revolution that is set to turbocharge the building and construction industry. So just imagine all our brilliant architects, engineers, contractors, everyone in the construction machinery able to digitally submit their building information modeling data. So it's not just about convenience, it's a shift that's going to make everything faster, smoother, and ultra accurate. So moderating this forum is none other than our own organizer, the Chief Executive Officer of CIDB E-Construct Services, NBeS Technologies, Rozlan Ahmad, and joining him on stage will be our three esteemed panelists, yang berusaha Dr. Haji Nadzman Mustafa, all the way from Kulim, Kedah. He's the Yang Dipertua for Majlis Perbandaran Kulim, Kedah. Panel number 2, Architect Gary Y. Choong Wong, the Associate Professor, Industry from University Malaya, and Mr. Roslan Ezhar Abdul Karim, the Chief Operating Officer, once again on stage from CIDB E-Construct Services, NBeS. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. And as we witness this next forum on the National BIM E-Submission to accelerate technology adoption and to have a competitive advantage in the construction industry. So whenever you're ready, Technologist Roslan, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Our master ceremony, Zaliha. Okay. Today actually is bidang terjun sebenarnya ya. Jadi moderator today. So okay. Here today I want to. I've been given a task to facilitate as a discussion and ensure that conversation on this topic is remain focused, and we have a gather panels of experts who have intensive knowledge and experience in the field of building information modeling and National BIM E-Submission. So let me introduce our panels. On my left is Dr. Haji Nadzman Mustafa. He is President of the Kulim Municipal Council, he is directly involved in the development of planning of Kulim High Tech. Boleh cakap gitu? He ensured that development approval at the local authority level could be done in a short period of time. This is due to the most of the projects were done using BIM and fast track projects. And the panelist number 2 is Architect Wong or Mr. Gary, my long friends. He's a partner of Total BIM Consultants and also associate professor in bracket industry for University Malaya. Have involved many projects, residential, commercial infrastructure on BIM projects, while on the far left main is Encik Roslan Ezhar, is a COO CIDB E-Construct Services NBeS. He is directly involved in the system development of this running the pilot test on the NBeS. So let me talk about a little bit background on NBeS. National BIM E-Submission, or NBeS, initiative is Malaysia to aim to improve the country ranking in the ease of doing business, a measure by World Bank data. NBeS is an automated process that involves submitting building plans to local authority in a digital format using 3D building information modeling. The primary objective of implementing NBeS is to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of the local authority and fire and rescue department or bomber in checking the building plans accordance to Universal Building Bylaw. By leveraging BIM technology, the submission and processing of permission planning application can be streamlined and expedited. So, for my first question, maybe I would ask Roslan. So, can you share the successful and challenges during facing the pilot project conducted with the local authority? So, how were these challenges overcome?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, the success factor for this NBeS implementation is we have a full support from the local authority and the principal 17% involved in this project through our series of workshop, meetings, and discussion. Okay, to measure our achievement, we engage a third-party consultant, UK Pakar Runding, to measure to do a pool for research, do a pool for effective and best pilot project. And we receive a 92% of the pool, okay? For the biggest challenge for this NBeS is a BIM adoption. The rate, we start this project on 2017. The BIM adoption rate in that year is about 17%, and readiness of the PSP and also local authority is too low. We have two main points here. First is readiness in terms of the adopting a new technology. Adopting new technology requires training for upskilling. Number two is for investment for software and hardware. And to overcome these issues, we arranged a series of training for PSP, and to overcome the issue on the hardware and software, we offer our facilities nationwide, maybe satellite, to make sure the PSP can modeling the projects. Thank you.
Okay, Gary, you see, you are an architect. You also a submitting person.
Sure.
Involved in most of the projects and using BIM. So, do you have PAM members?
Yes, I'm a
Okay.
registered architect, yes.
So, how can you, is it, as a PSP, how can we convince the PSP to use BIM and some more, maybe, NBeS, they have their own platform. So, do you think, how we can change the industry through, because it's all must be started from architect, isn't it? And they as a PSP, so is it any chance that PAM can adopt this NBeS?
Well, I think, in my own opinion, as a practitioner for over 30 years, right? I feel that the technology is actually, progresses very, very fast. I remember the days when I graduated, we were doing it manually. Now, back in the 1990s, mid-1990s, from manual drawings to 2D CAD, and in 2008, from 2D CAD to 3D CAD. Currently, like I'm in university, most students are actually designing in 3D. So, for adoption in the practitioners, architects, they are already doing 3D. It's just that what kind of tools that they are using. So I think it's just natural progression as technology grows. Architects will need to invest in the proper software to achieve all these necessary technology to help them in the design work, construction work, and submission, NBeS submission is just becomes very easy, natural process. Part of the work process the architect will go through, and I think like the 2D submission plans should be totally abolished. Because why do we need to do that? A lot of resources are required just to produce a 2D plan, to print out, and to submit it to the local authority, whereby if NBeS can provide a 3D visual to the local authority, that would definitely help the local authority to understand the design, like, you know, just by moving the model. The old way of reading 2D CADs, plan, section, elevation, I think is too laborious, honestly. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Nadzman. Today you are the representative of all the municipal lah, I can say today. Okay. Actually, we haven't started yet with Kulim.
Yes.
But we've been told that the Kulim had that most of the factory over there, and today, this morning, Dato' Aziz said that in 2021 is around 30 billion?
50 over million.
50 over billion investor came there and built factory, and in 2022 is 15. Yeah, 15 billion. So, if you as a municipal over there, then you have received many, they submit, their PSP is submitting all the drawings, maybe using conventional way. And I've been told that by using NBeS, they can shorten the period because there are no interference of man during the checking of the system. Checking of the drawing. But by using NBeS, the system itself will auto-checking, and based on that, they will check through under Universal Building Bylaw. So, my question is, actually the municipal sana, how long it took actually manually you have to checking on the drawings, and how this NBeS can help you? Kalau boleh.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roslan. As Mr. Gary mentioned just now, actually what we call in the chain reaction in approving a building plan, finally it will go to the local authority. So based on OAC, which we are implementing right now, is going to take about 50 days to approve the plan. Actually, for investor or for the business community, 50 days is quite long, because they are always thinking about, you know, if they can expedite their project as soon as possible. This is very material for the business community. That's why we are very encouraged when CIDB introduced BIM to the Kulim Municipal Council. Actually, we have been talking about BIM years ago, but it didn't come to the reality. When CIDB approached us, we think that this is the time. So we have no knowledge at all about BIMs and how it's going to work. But when CIDB introduced NBeS, I think this is the best tool to have local authority to verify the plan and finally to approve the plan, to get the project taken place as soon as possible. For Kulim, actually, we had already introduced what we call E10. E10 is Express Construction Permit, where the PSP is encouraged to have pre-consultation with municipal council, and we try to sort any outstanding issues about the rules and regulation. Each party has to understand each other. After the full understanding between the PSP and local council, after the submission, we can allow contractors to start to commence their work as soon as possible. Even if they want to start their construction work by tomorrow, I also allow them to start their piling work. You know why? Because under UBBL, Uniform Building Bylaw, it's not YDP to approve the plan, to approve the CCC. It's all under Mr. Gary. Why should I worry? Why should I worry? If you're ready to take all responsibility to ensure that the building will be, the construction will follow all the rules and regulations, I will allow you to start your piling work by tomorrow. This is all your responsibility. It's not me. Even at the CCC stage also, PSP has to collect all the G1 till to G21. They have to collect all the form from the various technical agencies, just deposit to the OAC. Then we can issue CCC. So I always believe that we can have a kind of collaboration. That's why under E10 we call it effective interaction between investor and the government to ensure that the project can be operated within their timeline. That's why when the investor come to me to say that I'm going to do our project in Kulim, I will ask them, what is your timeline? If you say that you need 24 months to complete the construction process, so we try our best to accommodate, to facilitate that the project can be completely constructed within the timeline. Even we have tested this approach to a few projects, then actually it can be done. But the most important thing is first what we call the competency of the consultant, and also the competency of the contractor. We found that some project they have conflict between PSP and the contractor. Is also one of the factors where the project is delayed. That's why we need the competent consultant and also the competent contractor, and these two parties will be facilitated by the government, especially by the local authority. So this is what we did in Kulim. Then we found that by introducing NBeS, it's going to help us to expedite the thing and to avoid human, what we call the human error, by verifying all this plan. And also we try to uphold what we call the integrity initiative, try to avoid any unnecessary issues related to the integrity element. So by doing this, I think it's going to benefited both parties, win-win approach between the government and also the investment or business community. This is what we did in Kulim, and that's why when CIDB introduced NBeS, I don't think twice, so I take it immediately. So we also have our team here. They are going to go through all the training by tomorrow, and we will start as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. So no more red tapes. Yeah? Very fast. Then PSP memang suka dengar ni.
But they also have to be very competent. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Okay. On that basis, my next question will be to Roslan, because he's involved directly in developing this NBeS. Maybe you can provide an insight into the type of engine developed within the NBeS system, such as a report generate, 3D rendering, a rule set management maybe, and how do these engines streamline to the submitting process?
Thank you, Encik Roslan. Okay, for NBeS we have three main engine. First is we call it NBeS Viewer. It's a single platform. The purpose this engine is to view back the 3D model after we export it to the IFC. Okay, and at the same time, the features of the engine also, the 3D, the NBeS Viewer also, it can located the fail elements after the process of checking. So this was 3D NBeS 3D viewer. Second one is reset management. It's a we set all the parameters into the reset management so that the engine will check based on parameter defined, and the result will come out based on parameters. Okay. The third one is reporting. We generate it and we can show it into our dashboard. Thank you.
So Gary, you also involved during development as a advisory, as a submitting person, because the developer don't know the process and you as advice. So my next question is to you: what are the critical features of an open BIM technology used in the NBeS system? How does it support collaboration and information sharing among the stakeholders?
Well, I think the questions regarding this system, I think most important is that when we design, as an architect, we should be designed with compliance. So, because our liability is at stake, like Doctor mentioned here just now. So we are liable from the day that we design and all the way until like the building is constructed and how many years down the road. So to make sure that the system works, there must be some form of a way that the architect model for compliance. So what I mean by model for compliance is that the rule set is important. So to make sure that when we model, there must be some form of standardization in terms of setting the parameters, right? So the parameters that we normally do set in the system itself, whichever platform that we use, say we use Revit or use ArchiCAD, there must be a way of, for the architects to make sure that the parameters that we put in is standardized. Otherwise, the system wouldn't be able to read the results, right? So when I started working with Roslan and also with Engineer Roslan here, so the first thing that we explain it to the team is that the UBBL has to be broken down into what kind of local council compliance, what are they looking at, okay? So just an example, right? Like when you design a staircase, there is a certain minimal requirements in terms of the stair tread dimension and the stair rises dimension. So those things have to be incorporated when you do your modeling. And the system must be able to find these parameters, this dimension. So setting parameters to read this need to be standardized. So we use OpenBIM. OpenBIM allows for any software that can be saved in an OpenBIM format. So when NBeS is designed with an
Can you
OpenBIM,
elaborate more on OpenBIM? Because we don't have any topic these 2 days about OpenBIM.
okay, all right, sure. So basically, the architects need to have a standard template to be developed so that in any platform, the architect, when they model it, they make sure the parameters are set correctly. By doing so, the system will be able to pick up all the necessary rule sets and test it to make sure it complies. So that is the essence of our NBeS system. Thank you.
So I think I have only one last question because they already put time for me. So last question to Doctor lah. Do you think, or what do you think that whether is submitting person at your place there, over there, and when they submit this using NBeS later on, is it any require any new fees, or maybe it's a, because everyone who PSP who submit the drawings, they have a fee dikenakan. So if we are using this NBeS, so any idea on maybe can comment first on this?
I think he's looking for the incentive. For the time being, I do not have any idea about it. Yeah, when we introduce something new, there are always motivation to get incentive, all those things.
Maybe a green lane, very fast. Green lane.
Okay. In terms of green lane, actually, every lane in Kulim is a green lane. Yes, every lane. You know why? Because actually we don't have time to delay everything, because investors have their timeline to start their operation. That's why we monitor every project listed under E10 initiative every week. Then we have to follow closely their progress, because we do not want to have any problem towards the end of the project. That's why sometimes we have to chase PSP. Before this, PSP is always chasing authority to get approval, but now we are chasing them. We ask them why you cannot submit this plan within the stipulated timeline. So that's why I talking about the competency about each other. You know, both parties must be very competent in these issues. Because we found that sometimes PSP also have problem. They don't really understand probably they are pretended to not understand. Then sometimes they put a wrong impression on the authority. This is what we face. Then we hope that if we really want to make things happen and successfully happen, every party has to be very sincere and doing all these things honestly. That's why in Kulim we try to get all this understanding. We know everyone have their own interests. We also have our own interests, because we want to collect our tax as soon as possible, and the business community also has to get their ROI as soon as possible. So we have to get good interaction and try to accommodate the needs of each other. I think if we are talking about fast lane or any lane, it can be discussed actually, because for time being there is no what we call the hurdles or a stumbling block in Kulim. I know it's not perfect approach. There are issues, there are problems that we have to settle, to sort out, but that is normal for every process. If you do, you also have problem. If you don't do it, also you have problems. So this is your choice, whether you want to do it or not. So when it comes to NBeS, I think we should start. Even if we start using NBeS also, I think there must be a problem. Then we have to sort out the problem. If you do not use NBeS also, we are going to have a problem. So we can choose whether we want to have a good problem or we want to have a bad problem. This is our choice. So this is my comment. And in terms of adopting technologies, we fully understand that now we are living in what they call a disruptive technologies. If we do not adopt technologies, I don't think we are going to be competitive enough for the future. And I always believe the future of government is digital. So we have to move toward this. Thank you.
Okay. So I think that's all the time that we have today. So I would like to thanks to Dr. Nadzman, Architect Gary, and Encik Roslan on this fruitful discussion on NBeS. However, any participant who want to know more on technicality of NBeS, maybe you can see after this Encik Roslan or Mr. Gary.
Sure.
On the, because they are really involved in the development of this NBeS. So I pass back to Zaleha.
Thank you very much, Technologies of Roslan.